Welcome back. In our last video, we talked about the globe and how big Africa is and how small Europe is, and how in the maps they showed Europe and Greenland enormous and Africa and India small. It's a globe. Why did they do that? To show that Europe is great and everything else is non-existent. This shows that the majority of things that have been taught over the last 200-300 years have been false and fake, and have been to justify colonialism, imperialism, and create this false sense of Eurocentrism, that everything begins in Europe and everything should be according to the Europeans. Reality is boots on the ground. What does that mean, boots on the ground? It means get out of the office, get out of your home, get out of the parties and family reunions, and walk about. Take a walk on the wild side. See what's happening. See how the world is. See how other people are. They're not monsters. Take a walk outside. Which means that globetrotting is very, very important. It gives you an opportunity to see with your own eyes what's really happening, instead of listening to political, religious, racial indoctrination and propaganda. See it for yourself. Get to know people. Find out who they are, how they are, their histories, their backgrounds, and you begin a journey of discovering what others know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you should know. You think you know, but it ain't so. But what is really, 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 really important is finding out what others know. How, if they don't exist? If anybody who's not a Christian or who's not of European origin doesn't exist, according to Marx, India had no history. According to the great Einstein, Brazilians were monkeys. He said it in his journal. So we have to understand that these so-called greats, Einstein hyped. He suffered from dyslexia, autism, and ignored his family. The great Charlie Chaplin had a terrible temperament, treated people really, really badly. We have to be really careful because how things have been presented is hyped, silver lining, the best, the greatest. No one understood. What is all this about? Now with YouTube, everybody knows. What is the YouTuber strategy? It's the best, it's the greatest, become a millionaire. This is what they've been doing for 2,000 years, since Rome. The greatest, the best. It's scamming. Study a little bit of what's happening in the YouTube. YouTube is a wonderful, fantastic platform full of scammers, full of videos of people who are clueless, hopeless, useless, but they copycat, they piggyback, everything is imitated, and they have get-rich schemes, get-view schemes, get-eyeball schemes. So we have all kinds of gimmicks, all kinds of scams, all kinds of copycat modes in fooling people. And this is what Hollywood did with the posters and the great heroes and showing horrible things. For example, the Westerns demeaned, depreciated Indians and Mexicans, American Indians and Mexicans and women. they just didn't exist. It was the white male, John Wayne, can do anything he wants, and then it became James Bond, can do anything he wants, and then Fast and Furious, can do anything they want. These are all scams. And before that it was Rome, our gladiators, our legionnaires, can do anything they want, they're great heroes. So the whole story of the West over the last 2,000 years has been scamming, lying, doing exactly what they're doing on YouTube today. Faking it, falsifying it, using the same methodology. It's great, it's the best, you'll make millions, you'll be successful, wow. We are at the opposite end of all this. It will take you 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to begin. Another 10 years to find a safe haven. You have to invest in yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to find out what you know is really true. Or what you think you know is just, it ain't so. You have to find out all the things that you haven't a clue about, that you don't even know that you don't know, but you should be knowing. About the globe, for example, about the maps, about other cultures. And only then you begin to find out what others know. Others is 99% of humanity who have been here for thousands and thousands of years, who have participated in peace and prosperity and civilization, cross-cultural navigation, globe-trotting, time traveling. Start collecting books, read fantasy, science fictions, fairy tales, get an idea of what the others know, what the others have been teaching and talking about. 1001 Nights, what's it about? Arabian Nights, what are they talking about? These things have been a part of the Orient for millenniums. But in the West, they started discovering about the 1001 Nights a few hundred years ago. Because there was a wall of ignorance. We are Christian Europeans. The rest of the world are demons. They will burn in hell. We don't want to know. They have no history, no civilization. So obviously, there was a wall of ignorance. And people that come from this background have no idea about what others know, what other civilizations have to offer. And their governments, because they're envious and ignorant, they create this political propaganda. The Indians are poor and miserable. The Chinese, they want to conquer the world. The Africans are black slaves. The people in South America are gangsters. What? Most of the crimes committed against humanity have been committed by Europeans, starting from Rome. So we have to be very careful about this kind of whitewashing. We are the best. This kind of throwing everything that's bad at other people because they're barbarians, they're not Christians, they're not Europeans. You stay ignorant, clueless about what's happening in the rest of the world. The rest of the world are joining the BRICS. Civilizations that have for 10,000 years lived in peace and prosperity. India and China have never invaded other countries. I'll say it again. India and China have never invaded other countries. Europeans and Americans have done that non-stop. The Europeans for 2,000 years and America for 200 years. What are we talking about? The others, for India, they went to Africa, they went to Southeast Asia, they crossed the Pacific Ocean. In my life, when I globetrotted to Colombia, to Peru, to Mexico, people looked at me as if I was just like them. And later on I found out that the Indians had migrated over thousands and thousands of years from India to Southeast Asia to Polynesia and then to Central America. The pyramids are exactly the same. The pyramids in Central America are exactly the same as the pyramids in Southeast Asia, which are all Hindu pyramids. So, we find out that the others are these people. And the people in South America the people, I would call them, who travel the equator, following the currents. We have another group of people from the north, they're called the northerners, the Vikings, the Germanic, the invading peoples of the steppes. They have lived in war and they're not interested in what others know. They take what they want. So we are talking about civilizations that trade and live in peace, and peoples that invade and kill. War mode, hammer mode, invasion mode. The mentality is still there. We are living in the global village, but the mentality remains the same. We will have a sequence of 3 videos especially talking about that. So please click in to our next video, subscribe, because it's very important for us so we can continue providing sequential videos, educational videos, and helping people understand why you don't know what you should be knowing. Thanks, and let's click to the next video.